Hi everyone, I'm doing my next section for my John Maxwell, and it's a new chapter today that I'm starting. This one is on self-discipline, and basically for self-discipline, I think it's something that all of us learn, but where does self-discipline come from? How does it start? Where does it stem from? These are good questions to ask ourselves, because when we are self-disciplined, we have regular, consistent, and persistent practices that we undertake to reach a goal or to reach an aim. And they help us and they help our teams, they help our communities, whatever it is we decide to do. So it's not a one-time promise, it's not a one-time event. We have to keep doing it, and then over time we get the benefits of staying the course. It's not something that we can look at it and say, yeah, I did it overnight. It's like when you learn to ride a bicycle, or when you're a baby and you're learning to walk. We can't prevent the child from getting hurt every single time. So we can teach a child how to avoid the hurt. We can tell them what to do, but it's a process that we go through with self-discipline to meet our long-term goals. So for today's case study, it was from Psalm 119, and it's verses 1 to 16. Again, that's Psalm 119, verses 1 to 16. And the questions for today, the first one is, why do you think the psalmist wrote this psalm? What might have prompted it? So the psalmist, if you read the psalm, you can see that he wants his ways to be right before the Lord. And that's probably what prompted him, so that he could keep God's commands. And he's asking God to help him, to give him that discipline, because God's laws are already on his heart, but he needs that help from God. And then the second question is, what are the benefits of self-discipline? How does the psalmist describe them? So the benefits of self-discipline, the psalmist says, is doing no wrong, following God's ways, becoming more steadfast in what we do. And when we do that, we are not put to shame. We delight in the decrees of the Lord. And the last question, how can one go about practicing self-discipline? Upon what is it based? So self-discipline is based on the laws of God, on the commands of God. And when we don't keep those commands, we do come back to Him and we ask for His help. It is written on our hearts, and we rejoice in the great riches of the law of God. So I am disgusted to see that Doctors Without Borders and Medicine Sans Without, I don't know what they call, Medicine Sans Frontiers are promoting sex work. One of the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals is to have respectable work. Sex work is not respectable work. Selling your body is not respectable work. It's not bringing glory to the Lord for you to become a prostitute and to sell your body. And people often talk about Maya Angelou and how she was a madam and what she did. We don't look up to her for being a madam, for being somebody who trafficked women or who put women into prostitution. We look up to her because she reformed and she changed her ways. That's what we look up to her for. And it's really awful to see what's happening, not only here in Canada, but even in Africa. Because they're selling this that, oh, it's a respectable form of work and there's nothing wrong with it. But really and truly, it is wrong. And it shouldn't be sold that way. Not for men and not for women. And when I'm telling you that, we used to have contractors who used to come. They used to come when I was working at Sable Chemicals. And their wives were left there in wherever, They were from England or Sweden or wherever, and then they wanted to sleep with us. I used to tell them, I'm not interested. You going home to your wife, so you want to sleep with me, and then what? It's not the right way, and it's not the way to have right relationship. And many of us have been fighting this for years and years and years, so it's awful when you see that it's our own companies here from Canada who are promoting this and who are saying there's no stigma. There shouldn't be a stigma. Of course there should. Of course there should be a stigma. It's absolutely horrendous. Just like selling babies for money or selling organs for money. It's horrendous. But people have lost that sense of what is right and what is wrong. And would they go and become a prostitute? Would they? I mean, girls are selling their virginity to Jeffrey Epstein's clique, whatever they are, to get money because they can't get jobs, they can't get positions. It's really awful. It's an awful situation that the world is in. And instead of things going backwards, things going forwards, things are going backwards. And that is a very conservative way of living. When you say progressive conservative, you must know what you're talking about, because the conservative way is that way. It's having your upstairs, downstairs, having your kings with their concubines, having their prostitutes. That is the old ways. That is the way that they did things before, and women fought against it, families fought against it, and things changed. Now we're going backwards in the name of love. It's really disgusting. It's really, really disgusting. That's actually really awful what they did. It's really sad to see. And the conditions being created here are the same conditions. Where they're saying that, oh, if you don't have anything else, why don't you consider it? It's like, are you kidding me? I would rather go back to Zimbabwe and go back to my community in Zimbabwe and find something there to do than to sell my body or sell my organs. It's really disgusting. Because educated people like me, educated women, can't get jobs here in Canada. And it's really awful. It's sad to see. But that's why we read these scriptures. That's why we remain disciplined, and we ask God to help us on our journey to stay focused and to stay disciplined, and for Him to teach us our ways so that we can follow His ways. And I'm sad to see that news that's come out, because non-profit organizations usually do not support that. Whether it's Rotary or Rotaract or Lions Club or, any kind of healthcare institution, they do not usually support that. And it's awful to see. It really is. I don't support it. And if they want to go back to those old conservative ways, they're going to get a fight on their hands, because women are not going to accept it. And men, there are men who are being trafficked. There are men who are being taken to England and they're being left in basements and nobody knows until they come out, and then they're paying them that money afterwards. That money doesn't give you back your dignity. It doesn't give you back what they take from you when they're filthy. And they're masturbating on the calls when they're calling the call centers. Or they're calling you, oh, come on, honey, don't play hard to get. It's like, you know what, fuck off. Really and truly. It's disgusting. And me, I never tolerated that. Even from my teenage years, I never tolerated it. And they never tried anything with me because they knew. It's sickening. But that's what we have to do. As Christians, we have to put our hope in the Lord. And we have to ask God for that strength to be blameless and to do the right thing for ourselves and for our communities. I don't know where a job is going to open up for me, a speaking engagement, ministry work that's going to allow me to support myself. But I do know that I'm not giving up. It's sickening what's happening in our world. And we need to be strong in our faith and in our convictions, because it's not getting better, it's getting worse with companies promoting things like this. It's wrong.